at the sound of Ben Lawrence.
Paul
Ben
Goody.
Lawrence.
Paul
Hey, how's it going, buddy?
I'm good. How are you?
All right, I called you buddy. That's a thing that I'm doing.
It's a new thing. You've done it
this
before.
is none of this is good. Lighting is just it's just going to be what it is.
I don't think anybody cares.
I guess first news. I forgot about the podcast that we were doing it today.
Well, it was a brief text exchange when we switched days earlier this week. I don't blame you.
Well, but here's the interesting thing is that I was like, oh man, I got the podcast. And I was like, no, I don't have the podcast. It's Wednesday. We do the podcast on Thursday. So I actually remembered that I had the podcast, and then I did not attend. But, you know, it makes, I mean, I'm here relatively at the right time. I have my winter coat on and my wallet still with me. But other than that, it's almost as though I remember.
Yeah, I wish I had a winter coat on because I am cold here in the theater.
Yeah, it's gotten to be fall for sure. There was frost
Definitely
on my windows. Oh, that's another thing that happened today. There was frost on my windows. And I was like, oh man, I'm glad that I work from home. I don't have to defrost my car. This is awesome. The sun will defrost it by the time that I need to use my car. And then I thought, unless of course Betty needs a ride to school, but that'd be silly. Why would she need a ride to school? She takes the bus and then she missed the bus. So I had to defrost
something
the
she
car.
would never, ever, ever do again.
Right, exactly. And that's the thing is that, you know, did I manifest this a la The Secret? Can I only make bummer things happen for me? I don't think so. I think I'm a little bit more magical than that. But you never know.
One of the few things that I've gotten used to living in apartment complexes that have parking garages for the past 7 odd years is that I no longer have to defrost the windows of my car or even scrape off the snow if I want to go somewhere. The car is safe.
Oh, because you're in the garage.
2 floors underground. My car is nice and tidy.
That's very cool. Ah, too much.
Ooh, you're getting moody over there, Paul Goody.
This
Moody
is not
Goody.
good.
That's what I'm going to call you from now on.
I didn't. No, this is not. No. Hey.
Devilish Paul Goody. Look at that.
All right. Wait. Hold on.
I can turn the house lights off here and be lit only by the light coming from the monitors.
Is it only going to be colors from now? Oh, there we go. That's better.
That's more natural looking.
A little bit.
For those of you listening at home on the audio stream,
geez.
tune in to our YouTube channel at GudeLaurance and to find out why Paul is just messing with the lights in his hod pod.
And why is Paul messing with the lights anyway? Nobody cares. It's not like we're actually doing anything for anyone. No one's watching. Hey, what about that?
We do this for us, much to the disappointment of Stephen McCandless, who gets irritated with us when we record at different random times during the week and don't tell anybody.
So I don't know if you can tell, but I'm trying a new thing. Do you ever see the cover art for Disco Elysium?
No.
Oh, this guy has these mutton chop to mustache things. I'm gonna give it a shot.
You got a very Lemmy from you got Lemmy from Motorhead kind of look going on for you.
Yeah, I'm a tough guy, Ben. That's what it is.
Tough
the Ace
guy.
of Spades. Don't even worry about it. So I guess we can talk about this. This is a thing that's in the works. It's not happening yet, but I want to talk about a nice thing that you did for me, Ben.
A nice thing that I did for you.
A nice thing that you did for me. So Ben mentioned on the podcast, you might know that Annex is going to have a fundraiser that's a Dungeons and Dragons themed fundraiser, and he knows that I play Dungeons and Dragons, and he was like, "Hey, Paul, they're playing Dungeons and Dragons. You should totally do it." And I was like, "Oh yeah, that's awesome." But turns out it's in person.
In person only.
in person for the players. We need to stress this: the audience will not be in person. That was a mistake that I made, but I got bummed out because, of course, the people playing are in Seattle and I live in Illinois. And I'll mention this again. Every single person in my family would love to live in Seattle. We talk about it. It's just not feasible money wise for us, and also school wise. School system that we're in right now is very good. Our experiences with the Seattle school system were less so.
Well, as established, you wouldn't be living in the Seattle area should you move back. But that's a question I had, is even with your current work from home work situation and Jennifer's work from home work situation, are you more financially stable to move to the Pacific Northwest? I don't want to say Seattle because Seattle is still expensive, but there are some joints around here. There are some places that are still reasonably priced.
So here's what I would say for that, because I feel good about I feel better about it. The main thing is not to get too much into my work situation, but I work on contract. And contracts end. And then when the contract ends, the company that I work for has to move me to another contract. There is a chance that, well, here's what's happening. At around the time that Betty graduates from high school, my contract will be ending. And so there's a chance that two things may happen. One is that they may want to move me closer to where the headquarters are and things like that.
Yeah.
Which is one thing. Which is kind of in the opposite. They're on East Coast time, so it'd be opposite of where I'm at. Or two, there might actually be a job opportunity in the Pacific Northwest at that time, and I could lobby to take it. So these are both good things. But either way, it puts us at about 2 years before moving. So we're not going to move before then. And a lot can happen in 2 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but I digress.
The world can come to an end.
The good thing that you did for me, Ben, was that you put in my name to actually DM the game. And it looks like that's happening. It really feels like can I talk about we haven't broached the subject with the person who's setting it up, but can we talk about them? Do you think they would mind?
No, not at all. I mean, I think more publicity for this little thing is all the better. And I don't, honestly, I don't know enough to spoil anything.
Oh, I just mean okay. So your friend and mine at the theater is someone named, and then can I say?
Yeah, you could say his name.
Someone named Ian, and Ian is a good friend of ours. Took a lot of pictures of us over the years with GudeLaurance. Very, he's a photo guy. He jack of all trades is how I would maybe describe him.
Yeah.
And so what we've kind of worked out is that he and I are kind of working on sort of making sure that I don't want to put too much pressure on him, but he's doing a lot of the stuff that lots of times with DMs and stuff like that, you're not just running the game, you're organizing it and doing so. He's doing a lot of the organization, a lot of the wrangling of the people and all that. Yeah. And also has some great ideas about what the thing is going to be. First and foremost, the thing that he brought up that I 100% jumped on board. Yes, of course. Yes. Is that the players themselves are going to help us decide what the world that they play in is. We're going to have they called them session zeros. It's a standard thing where you kind of talk about what sort of game are you planning on having, what's off limits, what's all that. And I haven't I haven't mentioned this to him, but one of the things that people do in Session Zeros sometimes is play Microscope, and who knows, it might be you and I have played Microscope on this before.
Briefly, yeah.
If you're creating a world, it might be an interesting way to sort of do it. Of course, Dungeons and Dragons, people kind of know what it is. You don't. I mean, there's an idea that I think everyone who approaches this project thinks, which is that we're putting on a show for people, right? People who may not know that much about Dungeons and Dragons or how it's played and all that.
Yeah.
So we don't necessarily want to move too far afield from how things normally work there. But yeah,
but it's mostly for this. I think it's just sort of a showcase of personalities,
and right. And sorry, go ahead. Yeah,
we were talking about this at the Annex company meeting, which I think was on Monday, which was all which was all online. And yeah, Ian was talking about it. He was still looking for a DM. He would do it, but he didn't feel that he was qualified to be as an electric presence as DM as he wanted.
Yes.
And so I
call that the Paul Goody effect.
I recommend. I recommended that you do it from afar.
I'm kidding, Ian. If you're listening, I'm kidding.
Oh, he's not listening. I recommended that you do it from afar. It was actually my idea to have you on a giant screen on stage with the players.
I love it.
Sort of this like 1984 style head overlooking everybody.
So one of the things I'm asking now, is this good? Is this look that I've got right here okay for your vision?
I'd love
to be closer.
I'd love you to be a little bit more lit. So if you could just like drink a 6-pack of Mickeys.
Hey. Clink clank, here comes the tank, baby.
Yeah.
All right, so let's see. Oh shit. I didn't mean to. Damn it.
Swearing, Paul.
Oh, I mean, oops. Sorry, Ben. Mark that down.
Yeah, I gotta mark it down.
So that's too lit.
Yeah. Anyway, I mean, Ian will have more say into this than me. He will probably walk you through what he wants to see in terms of all this.
Yeah.
So
So the great thing, the suggestion that I have right now is that there's a term in Dungeons and Dragons called rules lawyer or rules lawyering. And it's a player, usually it's a player at the table, who like anytime that there's a ruling or whatever, he's like, wait, hold on. Actually, because you're down by 50 hit points, this is going to happen, or whatever.
Yeah.
Like they equivocate the rules. And while I know a whole bunch about Dungeons and Dragons, I think Ian knows more than me. So I suggested, because of the fundraising aspect of it, let's explain for the people at home. There was a general convention, I guess we could say, with Annex fundraisers, that there's some sort of contest, be it a cakewalk or in this case Dungeons and Dragons, whatever, and people are able to bribe judges to make the thing better or worse or whatever.
Just challenging, so somebody can give $50 to give a player to remove hit points or something, Yeah.
Well, or $50, like an example that he gave was $50 will give somebody an extra spell slot or whatever.
Or something.
And
that's all still being decided.
Yeah. My idea with this is that it's funnier to me, and I think more entertaining, if the DM is not the person that is awarding these things, and we play up a sort of antagonistic relationship between the rules lawyer and the DM. And what I mean by that is that when he I have you now, and Ian says, no, wait, they actually have an extra spell slot now because of a generous $50 donation by Chris Dietz or whatever. And then I'm like, no, curses. And then that's sort of the tenor that we kind of want to have. I think it'll work out.
Yeah, I mean, it's antagonism always plays better in fundraisers because you do want to, you're like, I'm gonna ruin that person's day by giving money to that person.
And one of the things I was thinking about is death saves is a good one. Whenever you lose all of your hit points, you get knocked unconscious and then you start making death saves. 3 death save fails and you die, and 3 death save, whatever you call them, successes, and you regain your hit point, or not regain your hit point. Sorry, you stabilize. You're alive, and you don't lose any hit points
or whatever.
Yeah. So, so that's sort of the fun. That's kind of where we're headed with that. But this would not have been made possible if you had not suggested me for the DM, so I really appreciate it.
Well, I'm glad you want to do it because when your name came up, everybody on the call who knew you was very excited.
Oh, that's really great.
There were some people there who did not. There was like one person there who didn't know, maybe 2 people who came to Annex after you've moved away. Yeah. But on the whole, like Brett Fetzer was very, very much a +1 in terms of having you do this.
Hey, Brett Fetzer. We like Brett Fetzer. Who are these people that don't know me? I need to find them and introduce myself. Get to know me. Yeah, exactly.
Wasn't that a John Lovitz character from Saturday Night Live?
It was a John Lovitz thing. Yeah, exactly. And I think it was actually John Lovitz talking about John Lovitz.
Yeah,
with the Get to Know Me thing, which is kind of funny. But yeah, of course, the beggars of Beggar Talk. Again, beggars being people who are begging you to play a game other than Dungeons and Dragons. Probably not thrilled that my first foray into streaming a game is Dungeons and Dragons 5e, but I think just for brand recognition and everyone knowing what we're talking about and all that, it's going to be fine. And I did a trolling thing on them today because they always say something like, if you homebrew Dungeons and Dragons so much that it's no longer Dungeons and Dragons, what are you even playing? And I said, it's the exact opposite. Every role-playing game is Dungeons and Dragons. In fact, anything anyone does since Dungeons and Dragons came into existence is Dungeons and Dragons. Moving to a seaside town and growing old with your partner, that's Dungeons and Dragons, my friend. If you're eating a sandwich, you're eating 2 slices of Dungeons and Dragons over a Dungeons and Dragons center. And that's good Dungeons and Dragons. So that kind of thing. And luckily, the guy who ran the server said that he was mad at me, which meant that he wasn't mad at me and he thought it was funny.
All right.
So yeah. I noticed, Ben, and this is one of the things about us live streaming.
You see me looking over here a lot?
You're looking over there a lot. Is something going on over there?
I'm chatting with Steven.
Hey, Steven.
Yeah.
That's good. Is he actually listening to the show and commenting?
Yeah, he's watching.
I thought for just a second it was just a totally different conversation, which is fine.
He commented on the YouTube. He normally just writes to the show's phone number, which I can see on the web presence over here. But he did comment on the YouTube stream and said, "Ladies and gentlemen, the best live stream onto interwebs." So we got that going for us.
Hey, awesome! Which
is nice.
That's really good. And he wrote that to no one, right? It was him.
Yeah,
in the chat, writing that to himself and you, basically.
Exactly. So he said, apparently the name of the thing is Annex D&D, but the NNEX is in parentheses, so it's Annex D&D. That's the name that's getting kicked around for this event.
Gotcha. Yeah.
AD&D.
for a while, yeah. You had basic Dungeons and Dragons and advanced Dungeons and Dragons, which is called AD&D. So that makes sense to me.
Gotcha. Okay, that did not make sense to me because I did not realize
That's
there was an AD&D
the kind of
thing.
deep knowledge of Dungeons and Dragons that I bring to the table, Ben.
Very deep cut. Yeah. There's a Venmo lottery, I guess, is something they're talking about.
Oh.
So, donate money, and if you donate, you might be in the running to win $100. That's a pretty clever idea. So,
that's
like,
a clever idea, yeah.
If if 10 people
Aren't
donate
lotteries,
$10,
oh wait, you're a nonprofit. I was going to say I thought lotteries and raffles and stuff were illegal, but they aren't. If you are a nonprofit, I believe that those are the rules. Stephen would know for sure.
Yeah. All right. Anyway. So yeah, that's coming up. I don't know if there's a date for that yet.
There is not a date for that yet.
Yeah.
They're saying sometime in December.
Well, it's already November, so.
Yeah, which is enough time for me to panic read the Dungeon Master's Guide at least 5 more times.
There you go. Stress.
Yeah, so it should be fun. I was telling Jennifer, it doesn't matter how familiar I am with it. And this is why having Ian as the rules lawyers will be good as a little safety net. It's still, I still have to look stuff up sometimes, right? I don't know what things are, and that's fine if it's just you and Jesse and Tyler and Ron.
But when you're on a live stream with an audience
who are paying money
exactly
to the company, it's a little bit of a different thing. But this is what I was saying though. The whole point that I was trying to say is that an Annex fundraiser is an Annex fundraiser. It's around D&D, and I think that Ian is very aware of this. I'm very aware of this. We are playing D&D, but the main thing is that it still has to have the fun and energy of an Annex fundraiser.
Right.
That's the main thing. So, and I think it'll be.
Yeah, we're going to try to do that with the technology that we have. It's not just going to be one camera pointing to the players on stage. We're going to try to have some fun with this.
And there's still a pandemic, so that's the other thing that people have to remember. People did not remember, at least most people, in the Walmart that I've just was in. But I'm wearing masks and all that, so it's good.
Yeah.
Still, the mask that Steven gave me. Still have them. And that's part of the other reason for this facial hair. I was gonna, I love having a beard, but I want to have my chin bare so that I can form a good seal on it with the mask.
Yeah. Comment from the gallery. Steven says, "Wait, I thought we were getting Paul Goody from the Keep It Wrong podcast. He can't look anything up."
Oh no. Did you hear that?
Edward has some words about that.
Oh, hey, here he is. It's the boy. Hi, Edward. Listen to that. Listen to those paws. Oh yeah, that's your ASMR paws on a winter jacket.
There you go. And your seatbelt, apparently.
Oh yeah, this is part of my wallet, actually.
Yeah. We've discussed that at length, I believe.
I finally saw House, and it's
the Japanese horror movie or the TV show.
Okay. See, this is the thing: is none of those two. There are 3 things when you say I've finally seen House that you could be talking about. You could be talking about the Japanese horror film, which I have seen, and is on HBO Max right now. HBO Max, it's another
expensive
channel that you can buy.
Yeah.
And HBO Max and House, of course, the TV show, which is based on Sherlock Holmes, which I hate the fact that it took me that long to figure out that it was a pun. And the final one, which is one that I saw, the horror movie starring William Catt from The Greatest American Hero. one of the first horror comedies. People say.
I don't believe I've
United
ever.
States.
I don't believe I've ever heard of this William.
It's
Cap
actually funny
vehicle.
because when you watch it, you can see how influential it was for other things. It's one of those things that isn't necessarily great, but once you watch it, you're like, oh yeah, this kind of pulled from that a little bit, that sort of thing. It has a, well, I'm not going to spoil it, just in case you want to watch it, Ben. But
how can I watch it? Is it on one of these streaming services?
It's on. Yeah, I think it's on Amazon Prime. Is where I watched it.
Because apparently now I get all of them. So.
Oh, Rec. And Rec 2. There's a Rec 3, which I haven't seen yet. But Rec and Rec 2 are found footage Spanish movies from Barcelona. And
nice
they are
Castilian
great.
accent.
Every single thing that I've ever pitched to you about doing where I'm like, it's got to be found footage and cameras have to exist in the world and there can't be any shots that aren't shot from a camera. This is what they did. This is exactly what they did. And they're excellent.
Well, I mean,
really
that was sort of a thing for us because it was the easiest to accomplish.
Yeah, it's the easiest to accomplish, but also has integrity if you have like a Dogma 95 kind of thing. But yeah. So I really recommend that. And Wishmaster, obviously. If you haven't seen Wishmaster, Ben, it's.
Ask me if I've heard of Wishmaster.
Wait, have you heard of Wishmaster?
Actually, no, I haven't.
Did you see Lost?
I saw the first
the
3
TV
episodes.
Series.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, this isn't gonna help you then. But it was good, and I liked it. Good in a bad movie sort of way.
Yeah,
for sure. It is in my opinion the equivalent of a Nightmare on Elm Street type thing, where you've got the smart villain, the smart horror guy. The Wishmaster is a djinn who grants people wishes, and it really plays off of that whole monkey's paw kind of. A guy wishes that he could just walk through the bars of a jail, and so he gets slammed through the bars of the jail, and breaks into multiple pieces and stuff like that. One of those kind of things.
Yeah.
As you wish, he says, and then he.
I didn't. No, I haven't seen any of these movies. I finished watching Midnight Mass and.
Yeah.
That's the only TV that I've watched in the last week. Actually, honestly.
Spoilers for Midnight Mass. I liked that you found out that the guy was the priest pretty early on. That was one of the things I was talking about. They let you know that. And then that there's a vampire pretty early on.
It's interesting in the reveal of Father Paul, though. Spoilers for Midnight Mass.
I already said spoilers, but
and Steven has seen it. But anybody else who isn't watching, or anybody else who is watching, the reveal of Father Paul, I think in episode 2, I think is when he finally shows up, was shot in such a way as to. You would think it would be like they would have revealed that secret before they revealed Father Paul. And I only say that because there was you didn't see his face when he was walking in. It would always cut to a reaction shot if he turned around. His face was always hidden by something. So they obviously set up there's a very big mystery about who this guy is. But then when it's revealed to be, Hamish Linklater, you're like, all right, well, it's that guy. Who is that guy? You learn who that guy is later on, but you didn't. It's not like we were expecting. It wasn't a big audience shock that it was that guy. It just felt it was a weird directorial choice to reveal him that way.
Oh, I think that's a really good point. I didn't really think about it that much. I guess I assumed that they wanted, this is my thought, that they wanted the audience to be as surprised as the characters when it was this guy, because really, I mean, the thought that we have as an audience is the same thought that the other people say. Well, who is this?
Yeah.
Well, who is it? Okay, this is a guy I don't know.
I did like that a majority of the townspeople were like, there wasn't a big like revolt against, if you want to call them vampires or whatnot. That everybody was subject to the pull of drinking the sacrament.
Right. Oh, by the way, am I blurry? At one point in time, you and Steven thought that I was blurry. Am I still blurry, or have I gotten better?
It's not the sharpest focus. I'm looking closely at the monitor that you're big on, and it could be better. I know these little webcams don't have any, or maybe they do. Does this have a focus knob?
Hey, this one doesn't have a focus. I know that.
Look, my hand is in focus.
I'm not bad.
Now my face is in
focus.
Oh,
you have a focus thing.
Yeah.
I don't have a focus thing. What if I take this off and I'm just like this?
I can rack focus from my hand to my face.
So yeah, this is what I was talking about.
We don't want to go full Blair Witch.
I'm sorry, Ben.
Oh, now I can't even see you.
Okay. All right. All right. So Midnight Mass. Yeah. I thought the boat, like there were. This is what I would say. Midnight Mass had a good thing going for it, which was that there were some things that I knew. If that makes sense, I knew they were happening, and that was okay. It was okay that I knew that they were happening.
That you'd figured something out.
Right. Like I knew that he had rowed her out into the middle of the water because he was going to burn.
Yeah.
And he had made it so that he would burn. And that's fine. And it's sort of one of those things of, okay, either you don't find it out and then it's horrible, or you do figure it out and you're watching it and it's still horrible because there's that tension there.
It was still horrible. I didn't figure that out so early, but like there came a point when you're like, okay, he's gonna die out there. But what was most shocking was the cut from him seeing I'm assuming it's a woman that he killed in the first episode that put him to prison, going, rising up. Smash cut to he's on fire in the boat and she is freaking out.
Yeah. Oh, the other thing I thought.
And then the credits roll and all you hear is a smoldering fire and then eventually the rowing of the boat. That was a nice touch.
I should have.
You gotta watch. Oh man, that's part of the episode.
Yeah. I didn't hear that. So the other thing I'll say is that some people are split about the angel thing.
Yeah.
Like how he thought that this thing was an angel. And one thought that I had was that we don't see inside of his mind, right? So maybe it looks different to him because he drank from it, that maybe it doesn't appear as scary to him as it does to us. So maybe that's part of it. But I do think that he, in his explanation, explain, people are like, well, how can they think that that's an angel? It's really scary. The idea that demons are angels, right?
Yeah.
And in Catholicism, which he was a Catholic guy, and that they should be frightening, and of course they're frightening to us and all that. I think it works okay. You know what I mean? It didn't. The thing that I thought was great was the fact that they had the demon in robes when they revealed him at the church. They had him dressed up and how he can look kind of human.
Yeah. It's very
Even though
humanoid. A humanoid of humanoid stature.
But the big thing that I wanted to talk to you about, and the reason I wanted to wait until you had seen it all, was my favorite part of the entire thing.
What's that?
Where the mom of the kid who burned himself in the boat is talking to the vampire, the sort of busybody person. I forget exactly.
Bev.
And she's like, "What are you gonna do with that?" And she cuts her own throat. And they are powerless to they have to drink from her.
Yeah.
And it gives the people time to get away. Is great. I don't think I've ever seen that in any vampire thing before now.
Where somebody sacrificed himself to stave off further attack?
Sacrifice themselves to entice a vampire to drink.
Yeah.
And give them time to run off. I thought that was really, really super. And I am having a problem, Ben.
What's your problem, Paul?
I am trying to get out of the Zoom view. Exit full screen. There we go. All right, there we are. I just realized that I couldn't see what time it was because I was full screen when I was interested in looking at my own image. As we're wont to do.
Well, I've got you full screen here, but that's just because you're on my monitor over here, and that's what this window is. Yay, look. Do
you have 2 monitors, Ben?
I have 3.
Oh my gosh.
I know. Yeah. So I've got my main program monitor here. I've got you on Zoom on this monitor over here, and I've got the streaming. I got YouTube up and my email on over here. And how I'm chatting to Steven, who says he's not listening anymore due to spoilers for Midnight Mass.
Oh wait, I thought Steven had seen it.
I think he's playing with us because he did recommend Midnight Mass, and why would he have recommended it if he had not?
Maybe he recommended it, but he had only seen like 3 episodes. Tell him that we're done talking about it.
And he says, but Midnight. He goes on about how Midnight Mass is so much better than anything else he's seen, and he doesn't know how long. So,
okay, yeah.
Pretty sure he's still with us. If not, we are. This is technically during work hours. So.
Oh, I promised that I would do this, and I almost forgot. I'm glad that I just remembered. Dune. I made a statement about Dune and the white savior trope, about how you can't have Dune without the white savior trope because it's all about the white savior trope.
Okay.
And there was a guy that I follow on TikTok who made a super good point. And his point was that people who talk about this are usually people who read the books. And the majority of the people right now who saw the movie didn't read the book. And so the idea that Dune circumvents the white savior trope, and that's why it has to be in there, doesn't work for the film, the first film, because the other shoe hasn't dropped yet. All the stuff about it being all the stuff that happens that makes it a critique of it happens in what will be movie 2.
Oh, when you say the first film, you mean the current film, not the David Lynch
current film. Yeah, not the David Lynch film.
This one doesn't cover the entire book.
Right, exactly. And the concern is, and I think it's a valid concern, that it may not be marketable for them to bum people out by, making the point. Because if they make the point, there will be some people who really like the first movie who would say that it got too preachy at the end, that kind of thing. And I use as an example, I was like, but would that happen? I'm like, of course that would happen. And Breaking Bad is a great example. Did you see Breaking Bad? Did you see all of it?
Yes.
Yes, right? all the people were like, why is Skylar so mean to Walt all the time? I can't believe it. Like, what? She won't let him just, he's doing a thing and she won't let him do it. And she's like mad at him all the time. And it's like, yeah,
And this is how toxic fan bases can be. That actress, Anna Gunn, got a lot of hate for playing that character.
Exactly. It's nuts.
Yeah.
So there's that. There's, people didn't like The Last Jedi. Is that the one? What's the seventh film? Last Jedi, right?
Yeah.
Force Awakens, Last Jedi, Rise of
Skywalker.
Yeah. So Last Jedi. Lots of people didn't like Last Jedi. One of my favorites of the Star Wars franchise. And the reason people didn't like it is because it did, Rey wasn't a magic bloodline person. Rey was just somebody who could use the Force, and they hated that message.
That was and that was a critique I heard from more than one person. Is that
spoilers for The Last Jedi? Dang.
Rian Johnson, who wrote and directed Last Jedi, which was the 8th film in the series. He totally just like,
sorry, 7th was Force Awakens.
Force Awakens. Rian Johnson just ignored everything that was set up in The Force Awakens, where like the mystique around Rey's parents, Luke getting offered his lightsaber back, that was like a throwaway moment. A bunch of there's a couple other things I can't really remember exactly what, but those two are the big ones that stick out to me. And so the fan base was upset. These 3 people I talked to were like, was it J.J. Abrams?
Wait, do I know them?
No, was it J.J. Abrams who wrote The Force Awakens? Is that who did that?
Yeah. I think J.J. Abrams did bookended the
7 and 9, also known as the Borg sequence. But hey, but anyway, So but then The Rise of Skywalker got even more hate. It's not like J.J. Abrams was able to fix it, it. But people hate The Rise of Skywalker.
And the thing is that a lot of people it's interesting. A lot of people who liked The Last Jedi don't like Rise of Skywalker because it then didn't fulfill the promise of, it's basically like,
oh yeah, like who is Snoke? Is Snoke Palpatine or whatever that was?
Yeah, all that stuff. Not great. None of it is great. I have a question. Do you think within our lifetime that there will be a remake of Star Wars? Like, people will, or do you think it's more likely that there will be a complete remastering of Star Wars, meaning that will go back like they did with the special editions, kind of, but more so?
I totally believe that we're going to get a remastering of not just the Star Wars movies, but all the offshoots. I've mentioned this before. I think they're going to redo the Solo movie and deepfake young Harrison Ford onto the actor who played him.
I want to just point out that the reason I asked you this was because I wanted to hear you talk about that before again.
And also put Donald Glover over Lando's face.
It's interesting who would they pick for which thing? It's an interesting idea. I don't think they're gonna remake Star Wars because they're still doing Star Wars. Right, so Star Wars is just gonna have a life, just keep going on. Like the Book of Boba Fett's trailer dropped this last week. Yeah.
So
did
things
you see that,
like that.
By the way,
Actually, I didn't watch it, but
Oh yeah,
I'll
worth
watch.
taking-
I'll watch the TV show whenever it comes out. But yeah, I think Star Wars is just gonna grow, or it's gonna live on and evolve and create new offshoots and create more content. I don't think we're gonna get a reboot of A New Hope.
I think eventually what's going to happen is that we're going to have a virtual world based on Star Wars that you can just live in. You opt in, you pay, $50 a month, and you have your little AR goggles on, and your entire work is Star Wars. Your car becomes a land speeder, all that stuff, right?
And
Overlaid
Mark
onto
Zuckerberg controls it all.
Meta, Ben. Meta.
How,
Did you hear about that?
So meta. Yes,
Ben's going to guess the news. Guess what Facebook changed their name to since we last spoke, Ben?
Oh gosh, what was it? A dumb name, but of course Facebook is a dumb name.
The fact that you cannot guess is perplexing to me.
What do you mean?
The
I've
name
already
that they changed
I've
to-
already mentioned the name twice already.
Okay, there we go. It's Meta.
Are
It's
you being meta?
Ben.
Yeah.
That and yeah, the idea I think is exactly, they're gonna go full in on augmented reality and all that kind of thing. Let's see. Elon Musk either offered to end world hunger or was a massive jerk, and maybe both at the same time.
So he did he joke about ending world hunger, like having the money to end world hunger, but he would never had the
Okay, so this is what happened. And if Steven's still watching, maybe he can chime in on this, because I'm just going to talk about my experience of it.
he says he's calling.
From my experience, somebody tweeted out that Elon Musk could end world hunger if he did, if he gave like $6 billion.
Yeah.
And Elon Musk said, you show me your plan and be really open with your accounting practices. And if that can happen, then I'll do it. And then they came back and said, well, we never said, we do have open accounting practices. We do this, this, and this. And we never said that we'd end world hunger. We said this.
You're one listener.
Hey.
One to send a voicemail.
Steven, turn your radio off.
Okay.
But the big thing is this. My impression was that they were actually negotiating a thing. Like he would have done it if they did the stuff that he wanted. He asked for them. Jennifer's impression was that he was just being a jerk to them. And I feel as though, she doesn't like him already, so predisposed to him being a jerk. But I don't know. I don't know where that landed. I don't know where. Steven, is there any update on that? Like whatever happened? Did they give him the stuff?
No, they didn't give him the stuff. They don't. There's no plan, and you know why there's no plan?
Why is there no plan?
We make enough food to feed everybody on the planet. The only reason that anyone on this planet goes hungry is that somebody else wants them to. If you want to feed everybody on the planet, you better bring a lot of fucking guns and start shooting people. And that's the part people don't want to talk about. They don't want to talk about the fact that people starve for a reason. And that reason is other people want them to starve.
I'm pointing at the camera going,
You better just start killing people. Just start killing people until everything's better.
Just start killing people until anything's better. The GudeLaurance podcast.
Everything. It worked for Cain and Abel. It'll work for us. Let's stick to the classics.
I love the idea, and I know neither of you guys are biblical scholars, but one thing that I remember from my Sunday school days my impression of the story of Cain and Abel was, I remember that Cain and Abel made a sacrifice, and God liked Abel's, but said that Cain's wasn't good enough, something like that. And then Cain killed Abel, and
Yeah.
I, as a child, made the assumption that that was the sacrifice that God wanted, or that's why Cain killed him, because this goes kind of to the Pratt axiom. Pratt axiom is normally about sexuality in theater. If something doesn't make sense unless two characters are gay, they're probably gay, that sort of thing.
Okay.
We don't know why Cain killed Abel. Maybe he was jealous, or maybe it was because he needed a better sacrifice than the things that he had sacrificed before. Now, the question is, were they the things for him? Was Abel his to give? Probably not. And I think that's why he got in trouble. But anyway, this is not a biblical podcast, Ben. I apologize.
You wouldn't find me on one because I know nothing about it.
Yep. Well, the Bible, Ben, is a collection of writings.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, shepherds
I
mostly.
actually did hear recently that the reason the apple is the forbidden fruit is because whoever translated the ancient Hebrew text into Latin made a pun, because the Latin word for apple is the same as the Latin word for death.
Oh, that's quite possible, Ben. I know at least the Lutheran Missouri Synod holds that we do not know what the original fruit was.
Could be a fig.
Yeah, in fact, it's funny that you mention it, and I'm totally serious about this. Fig is what most people say. It is crazy that you said that, because it totally is what most people say when they say it could have been a different fruit. Fig is the first one.
Well, because it was a fruit on a tree in that area. I mean, you're probably not going to find
well,
lemons over there, or whatever. But
oh yeah,
Are we
yeah.
talking about Musk?
No, but we can be.
Did you forget about the
So
our
that
Elon
was the-
Musk caller here.
So that was the main thing, I guess, is that from your position, Stephen, he asked them if I can paraphrase, and maybe you tell me if I'm right or not. He asked them those questions because he knew that in the end they wouldn't matter.
He asked them those questions because he's at the receiving end of this mountain of bullshit where everyone's saying, oh, these people have, quote unquote, made so much money. Why don't they just? Like, for a fraction of blah, 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 we could just blah, blah, blah. All we have to do is take this much money from all these people. From Musk.
Am I right that they called him out by name specifically? I think they did.
Paul Krugman? And
yeah.
Paul Krugman's on Twitter tagging him. Bernie Sanders.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
Twitter tagging him. And they say things like, pay your taxes. They don't say things like, you've followed all of the rules governing tax law and paid the requisite amount, but the rules that we put in place favor you, so you ended up not paying any taxes. They don't say. Bernie Sanders is tweeting saying, pay your taxes. It's like, I did pay my taxes. If you want to change tax law, why don't you talk to someone who's in the federal government and start changing tax law? Oh, wait.
That was one of the things that came out during the 2016 election, was that the former president was like, I paid everything that I was supposed to, because the subtext being, like Stephen said, our government favors the rich.
I remember him calling that out specifically.
My mom's dead, and so I've been learning more and more about inheritance and the like.
Uh-huh.
The rules for rich people are unbelievable. Unbelievable. Did you know that, like, the margin interest rate on the interest on margin borrowing for investing in the stock market is tax deductible?
I did not know that.
I get tax savings on my margin interest. If someone dies and leaves you stock, the strike price, the cost basis is set to the price of the stock when they die. So any capital gains that they saw during their life on that stock, you never pay taxes on. So if I buy a stock that's for $10 and it goes up to $1,000, and then I die and leave it to you, you inherit a stock with a cost basis of $1,000 per share. You don't have to pay any capital gains tax of any kind ever on that $990 of appreciation during my lifetime. It's bizarre. There's so many rules like this, and you just run across them. You're like, are you kidding me? It just gets easier and easier. But everyone just wants to everyone wants to talk about this, how much 20% of Tesla is worth.
Hey, Betty!
They forget. Oh my God, Paul, you're killing me. All right, they forget the part. Paul, being one of your listeners is punishing. So, Paul, they forget the part that you can take how much Musk is worth and multiply it by 4, and that's how much everyone else has made. So Musk might be worth $300 billion or something. That means the rest of everyone who owns stock in Tesla is up $1.2 trillion. That makes sense.
Split
right?
between
however.
Yeah.
Split between the shareholders of Tesla.
Yeah, and if the other 4/5 of the stockholders, if they sell their shares, they'll pay capital gains on it. When Musk sells his, he'll pay upwards of 50% to California and the federal government on his shares. I mean, they'll get their money eventually. They're the federal government. They're immortal. Everybody dies. Tax laws forever. No, he was just
what are we watching? What are we doing?
We're talking about death, Betty. We're talking about the death of all things, and the ultimate superpower of government, which is that they're immortal.
What?
Betty, you remember Stephen McCandless?
Kind of, yes.
He's on the phone with us right now talking about Tesla stock and how the U.S. tax system favors the ultra-wealthy and that people are villainizing billionaires and we don't have any trillionaires yet, but villainizing billionaires because they haven't paid their quote fair share of taxes, even though they have based on the laws that are on the books. So your job, Betty, as the next generation, is to change these tax laws so that the ultra-wealthy can pay their fair share of taxes to give free college to kids and to give health care to the people who need it, to end world hunger. That is all on your shoulders. Good luck.
I just want to know how to draw a hand correctly. What are you guys?
Don't we all?
You draw a turkey and then trace around it.
Goodbye.
That
See you, Betty.
probably makes no sense to Betty whatsoever.
I just want to know how to draw a hand correctly.
A hand?
Of a generation.
A hand?
Yeah.
A hand like a hand?
Yeah, it's very difficult, Ben. Have you tried it?
No, I haven't.
Oh yeah, worth a shot.
Susanna Burney famously had trouble with hands. She was always hiding her hands in her paintings. She was an excellent painter, but she never got the hang of hands.
It's difficult. It's a really it's an intricate piece of machinery.
Indeed.
As it were. I mean, people are humans and animals, not machinery.
People are humans and animals.
It can be both.
The whole Musk is just a pain in the ass. It's like everyone acts like if they only just had enough money. Like, this country printed something like $4 trillion in the last couple of years to power us out of COVID. If it was a money problem, money can be literally made out of thin air. It's not a money problem, and people are just using. Basically, people are using the starving of the world as a ploy for fake sympathy to beat up the one American industrialist who's done more for the green revolution that this country desperately needs. Like, what is the point to this? None of these people could name the head of GM. None of these people know that VW has been caught for a third time in a different emission smog cheating standard. They don't know that the only reason Ford has any access to an electric vehicle charging network is because VW had to pay for it because they owe the United States billions of dollars for the people that they killed with their smog-producing vehicles that they lied about the emissions about. Like,
VW being Volkswagen.
They just think Musk, and they're just beating up on him, despite the fact that the only reason there's green vehicles at all that are being taken seriously is the work he's done over the last 20 years. And what does the left choose to attack? This guy. That's their favorite whipping boy, because the left doesn't know how to win and doesn't know what it looks like and can't get out of their own way. Witness the last election.
Yesterday's election was proof of that.
I mean,
What part? People didn't vote. The kids didn't vote. They look at Texas. They're listening to the Supreme Court roll back Roe v. Wade. The Supreme Court is going to repeal effective gun control in New York State. And the kid's like, oh, well, but you didn't engage me. I didn't vote because you didn't engage me. I mean, I'd have to fill out a ballot and then get it somewhere near a mailbox or a 24-hour drop box. It doesn't even need a stamp. Too much work. I'm not going to.
We didn't actually have voting in Illinois this year. It was really strange. And when I say really strange, I mean like I kept on Twitter, on TikTok, all that, people like, go out and vote. You got to go out and vote. You got to do this. And there was no place for me to vote because our state and our county weren't having elections that day. There were no elections happening. And
okay,
I still, it's like when the teacher yells at you as an entire class and you feel guilty even though you didn't do anything. When I post
this, Paul, should I parenthetically include, except if Paul doesn't have to, then you're off the hook, Paul. Sorry, but everyone else.
I think that would be good. I think it would be nice if everyone were to do that in general. It's hard for me to get that going. So yeah, the one thing I'll say about there are a lot of people that I follow on the left who, and I don't know how you feel about this, but they're kind of bypassing the current structure entirely, like working within the system. They don't like it and they're mad about it.
And what's the plan? To let everything hit the floor and then build back some Road Warrior-esque paradise?
In fact, I don't think it's a paradise necessarily, but I do know that there are some people that absolutely think that it helps them. If now, of course, I want to be clear. I do not hold this personally because I am too much of a comfort seeker. I really like having
that's
all my stuff. Yeah, exactly. But if I didn't,
it's not that millions of people would die of starvation if our time delivery system collapsed. You just are a comfort seeker. You personally.
Yeah, exactly. I need people, and Stephen, this is true. I need people like you to remind me that other people in the world exist and can be harmed sometimes. It's sad.
I wouldn't call it on me. It's a tenuous reminder. It's just, I'm not that well hooked in myself.
But you still, and I'm serious about this. There are times when I have said on this podcast itself things that are vaguely like, well, fascism is kind of bad, and you're like, kind of bad, kind of. You want to maybe have a harder stance on that, Paul, and I'll be like, all right, okay, sure, sorry.
That's true. I remember that.
I miss our parties.
Yeah, and it may have been even more specific than fascism, if I'm being honest. I don't remember exactly. what we're, but the point is that yeah, we have what we would like to have happen. We have what is happening, and sometimes the two don't mesh that well. And so the idea of letting the elevator just drop all the way down through the basement floor, and then everyone will go, oh no, there's a building code problem, is a way to go. It's not the way that I would necessarily choose. Because I think, really, honestly, bad things will happen eventually anyway.
No, that's how I talk with the negative population growth people. The people who think there are too many humans, and that's the problem. I was like, oh well, you're in luck, because that's
wait around for a while.
That's by far the most likely outcome. You don't have to plan for that. You don't even have to work for it. Just sit around, man.
Hey, you don't even get to choose. You don't even have to choose. You don't have to make those hard decisions. They will be made for you.
No.
I've made the decision that eventually what we need is a heat death of the universe. So
that's what you're going to advocate for?
Yeah, I'm just hedging my bets here. I think I'll be right at least once. Oh no, it's already 5 minutes over, you guys. We did it.
Oh, it's time to say goodbye. Steven, thank you so much for calling. Always a pleasure.
It is always great to talk to you. Thank you so much for calling in. When you call in, our 50% audience to host rate drops to 0, but it is still wonderful to hear from you.
I did notice that the view counter on YouTube dropped after Steven joined us.
Yeah,
it had to, right?
Yeah, I told him to turn it off.
Yeah,
I could hear us in the background.
There you go. All right. Well, thank you both. It's always lovely to talk to you.
Right.
Between
Paul,
now
before I forget,
next time. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. What?
Thanks for this, Paul. Thanks again for agreeing to this D&D thing. Everyone was, aside from Way, everyone was very excited to hear that you would take the gig. Right? That, we
And so is Way? Is it just that Way didn't know who I was and was like, okay, there's a guy, or is Way?
Way is a very, very capable and smart person, and so they weren't immediately aware of how difficult it was going to be for them, a person who had never played D&D in their life, to then run a game publicly.
So Way was interested in running the game?
Yeah, having a first-time player be the GM was kind of a non-starter. So Way was, it was.
Paul, don't feel bad. Don't feel bad that you're taking something that somebody else wanted to do.
That is what I was afraid of.
Should I not have mentioned that? Paul? I have an idea. Why don't you do this and make the theater a lot of money so we don't close? How about that? Focus on that.
Okay. Yeah.
And sleep with that.
The great news also, just so you know, and this is why I'm not going to be thinking about that anymore. My therapist told me on Friday that I no longer need regular sessions.
Oh, really?
So that was really nice. Yeah.
Are you cured, or are they just tired of talking to you?
I gendered my therapist. I'd kept it a secret up until now. But I mean, not my therapist anymore. Also, there are many therapists in the area. You're not going to be able to track down who exactly it is. Said that that she'd like to use the term graduated. She thinks it's fun. It's a fun term to use. So I graduated.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, couple extra bucks in your pocket this month, so.
Oh yes, yeah. We'll say a couple and pretend that that's what it was.
All right.
Awesome. Well, I will talk to everybody later.
Yeah.
And until then, please keep it wrong.
Keep it wrong, Paul. Keep it wrong, Steven.
Keep it wrong.
Talk to you.
Bye.
2 weeks. It's like tomorrow, except it's
weeks. Is that a Total Recall callback? And Steven's gone.
Steven's gone. Okay, Ben, so what was that all about? I'm kidding. Steven, if you listen to this and you hit that, that will be very funny. But no, we should